Hi everyone. Today we're going to work on what is called driving data. So in other words, we're going to look at information that helps us make decisions about driving. And that could be anywhere from looking at distance to miles per gallon to kilometers, things like that that's going to help us make decisions about cars and our fuel economy and things along that lines. So we're going to be using the distance formula to help us out, and we're going to look at how the distance formulas help us get to fuel economy and gas usage. So what I have here right now is just an example of what a dashboard would look like in your car, and there are a variety of ones. Now you have cars that just have looks like a iPad screen, as well as the dashboard. Some of them are head-up displays. So this is a very traditional, older model one that I have here. And then I also have one that has all these lights and stuff like that. And this is where it's kind of like throwing information at you or data at you about your car. So one of the things is an odometer. And that is the gauge on your dashboard that indicates the distance the car has traveled since it's left the factory. So in the first one, you can see that right here, and that's the bottom number. That's 130,001 mile. Okay, it also is 63 degrees outside. Okay, and then you also have your tripometer, which is displayed as accumulated distance traveled from a particular trip, and that's that particular one as well, and that's 223 miles, 0.3. Okay, so there's other information here that you're going to see. On the top one, you have your fuel, you have your hot and cold, that's telling you whether your engine is running the way it's supposed to be. In the center, you have your speedometer of how fast you're going, and then on the right here, you have your tachometer, which is the revs in your engine. But down here, you have all kinds of lights. Then this is information that the car is telling you. For example, right here, you can see that the one with the trunk open is telling you you left your trunk open. And then the oil can means it needs some oil. And then this is the front defroster. And this one here is that it's slippery and you may have your, overdrive. It's not overdrive, but it's has to do with your slippery and your brakes. So there's other ones that have here. You have your number 4 is your windshield wipers and your liquid for your windshield washer. 21 is your very important tire pressure gauge, so making sure that your tires are at the right pressure. 20 is your high beams. 46 is your econo. 43 might tell you need maintenance. 39 might be your airbag is on or not on. Over here is 63 is your rear defroster. Your windshield wipers are on automatic. Things like that. There's all kinds of information and data that your car is giving to you. Okay. All right, so the speedometer is the device that tells you how fast you're traveling, and the fuel economy measurement is how much gasoline your car is used to travel a certain amount of distance. We're very interested in that. Miles per gallon is a type of fuel economy measured in which describes how many miles your car can be driven on 1 gallon of gas. Now, when you purchase a car, you can look that information up. And the government is asking all car manufacturers to increase their miles per gallon so that we get better fuel economy. Kilometers per liter is another way to measure fuel economy, but it uses the metric system. And then let's talk about that. So remember, the English standard system is the type that we use. We're based on base 10 or base 12. And the metric system is based on base 10. That's everybody else uses the metric system. So distance formula, which we can use in either English or metric, is the distance a car travels that is a function of rate and time that it travels. Okay, and then currency exchange rate, which is what also we're going to be looking at, converts one country's currency to another country's currency. All right, so let's take a look at this distance formula. So a car travels an average rate of 50 miles per hour for 6 hours. How far does the car travel? So if you remember that the distance formula is distance equals rate times time. In fact, let's put that up here. Distance is equal to rate, which is how fast you're going, times time. Okay? And one of the things we want to make sure is our units are always in agreement. So we have 50 miles per hour. That's going to be our rate. And how long is 6 hours? So our distance is going to be 50 miles per 1 hour times 6 hours. Now we're going to multiply straight across, okay? But one of the things you're going to see how the h's are diagonal from each other. We're just going to cross those out because they can be. It's kind of like 6's over 1. If I multiply straight across, the h's would be 1 on top and 1 on the bottom, and they can cancel each other out. And that's what we always want to happen. So we want to be in miles here, so we got 50 times 6, which is going to give us 300 miles. Okay? All right, so here we have Byron, who lives in New York and will be attending college in Atlanta, Georgia. The driving distance between the two cities is 883 miles. Now, he knows that speed limits on the highways that he's going to travel range from 50 to 65 miles per hour. He figures he will average about 60 miles per hour on his trip. At this average rate, for how long will he be driving? And express our answers in the nearest tenth of an hour and to the nearest minute. So we're going to express our answer in 2 different ways. All right, so we're still going to use the distance equals rate times time. Okay, but in this case, we're looking for time. So I'm going to put the distance in. So here's our distance. And here is our rate. So our distance is going to be 883 miles. Our rate is 60 miles per hour. And we're interested in time. Okay, so we're going to divide 883 by 60. And we're going to get a decimal. We're going to get a repeating 6. And that's going to be in hours. Okay, so that is tenths of an hour. Okay, so that's our first answer. Now the second answer says nearest minute. Okay, so we have to figure out how many minutes are in 0.7166666. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the decimal part of our answer. Just put on a bunch of 6's here. And we're going to times that by 60 because there are 60 minutes in an hour. Okay. And when we do that, we're going to get about 43. Rounded. So our answer actually is going to be 14 hours and 43 minutes. Okay. All right, so those are our 2 hours, 2 expressions of our answer. All right, so now we have Danielle, who's going from Atlanta to Denver, which is 1,401. She travels an average of 58 miles per hour. How long is her driving time to the nearest minute? So we're going to do the same thing. We have distance equals rate times time. Okay, our distance is 1,401. Our rate is 58. And again, we're looking for time. So we go 1,401 divided by 58. We're going to get 24.155. And we'll go to 2. Okay, and that's how many hours. Okay, and again, we want to represent our answer. How long is your driving time to the nearest minute? So we're going to use that decimal part. 1552 times 60. Okay. Oops, did that wrong. Okay, so I'm going to get about 9 minutes. Okay, so our answer is 24 hours and 9 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's try this one. So we have Kate here who left Albany, New York and traveled to Montreal, Quebec. The distance from Albany to the Canadian border is about 176 miles. And the distance from the Canadian border to Montreal, Quebec is about 65 kilometers. Oh boy, we have a problem because some of it's in miles and the other part is in kilometers. So we're going to have to make some conversions here. Okay. And the entire trip took 3 hours and 3 3/4 hours. What's her average speed? Okay, so we're going to have to make a decision here. We're going to have to decide if we're going to make everybody miles or make everybody kilometers. I'm going to go with miles. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our miles and convert the kilometers, to miles. Okay. So we're going to go make our kilometers to miles. Okay. So we're going to take our 65 and we're going to times that by how many miles? 0.02621,371. Okay. So we're going to multiply those together. Okay, so I got, nope, that's right. I have decimal issues. Oh, you know what? I have my decimal in the wrong spot. That's why it didn't look right. There we go. Couldn't be 4 miles. So that's going to be 40.389. Okay, so that's how many miles. And that's from the Canadian border to Quebec, Montreal. So I'm going to have to add that to the 176. Let's make it 40.4. Okay, so that's how many total miles. So we want to know what's her average speed. Okay, so again, we're going to use our distance equals rate times time. Okay, so our distance is 216.4. We don't know her rate. That's what we're going to try and find. And her time, let's make it 3.75. So we're going to divide those. And I get about 57.7 is our rate. So it's going to be 57.7 miles per hour. Okay, we could do exactly the same thing if we wanted to take our miles and make them kilometers. If you did that, we'd get about 93 kilometers per hour. All right, so let's take a look at Juan here. He has a hybrid car, which is great. And the average is 40 miles per gallon. His car has a 12-gallon tank. How far can he travel on 1 tank of gas? Whew. All right, we're still doing distance here. And so distance is still equals rate times time. But you can also think of this as miles per gallon times gallons. Okay? That's another way of thinking about this. All right? So we can use that to help us with our distance. Okay, so distance is equal to 40 miles per gallon times 12 gallons. Okay, so we're going to get 480 miles. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Barbara here. She uses her car for business, and she must keep accurate records so she can be reimbursed for her expenses. When she started her trip, her odometer read 23,787.8. When she ended her trip, her odometer said 24,108.6. Her car gets 32 miles per gallon, and her tank was full at the beginning of the trip. When she filled her tank, it cost her $24.06. What price did she pay per gallon for this particular trip? All right, so let's figure out how many miles she went first. Okay, so let's figure out how many miles. So we're going to have to take the 24,108.6 minus the 23,787.8, and we get 320.8 miles. So we're still going to use our distance equals rate times time. Okay, so our rate, though, is going to be our miles per gallon. Okay, so we went, let me change that so it reflects exactly what we're doing. Miles per gallon times gallons. Okay, so we're going to take our 320.8 and 32 miles per gallon, and we got to figure out how many gallons she used. Okay, so let's divide both sides by 32. Okay, so I get about 10.025 gallons. Okay, so we're not quite finished because we have to figure out what price did she pay per gallon when she filled this up. So we're going to take her price and divide it by the number of gallons. And that's going to give me her price per gallon. So when I divide those two, I get $2.40 per gallon. Okay. All right, so now we have David. David is driving to Mexico and on his vacation. He noticed that the gas costs $14.25 Mexican pesos per liter. Okay, well, how many? That's a lot of money. It seems like it's a lot of money, but remember, that's in pesos, not in dollars. So we have to figure out how we're going to do this. So if you remember way back in the beginning, I gave you an example of an exchange right here. Here it is. And that $1 US is 18.66 Mexican dollars. So we're going to convert that. Okay. So we're going to take that 14.25, and that's Mexican dollars. It's called Mexican dollars. That's in pesos. And we're going to need to multiply or divide that. So we're going to multiply it. For $1 is 18.66 Mexican dollars. Okay. So that's the way I look at it, but basically you're just going to divide the two together, and we're going to get 76 cents. So each liter is 76 cents per liter. So that makes a little bit more sense in our brains, okay? All right, so he knows the price of gas in his hometown. Okay. Oh, we got to figure out, I'm not quite finished with this problem. I'm sorry. That's how much it is per liter. Okay, so we figured out, okay, so that's for one, oh, that's the exchange rate. I'm sorry. So now what we're going to have to do is take our 0.76 and times that 3.8 liters in a gallon. Okay. So we're going to get $2.89 per gallon. Okay. All right, so David knows the price of gas in his hometown is about $2.30 per gallon. He compares the price to he paid in for liter. Okay, so let's figure out, okay, per liter or per gallon. Okay, so we're going to take that $2.30 and divide that by 3.8. Okay, so price per liter. Okay, so because that's how many relative like gallon to liters, and we're going to get 0.61. Okay, so he's going to pay less because 61 cents is definitely less than 76 cents. Okay, all right. Let's try this one. All right, so on a trip to Canada, Angie noticed that the average price per liter is $1.28 Canadian dollars. If $1 US is equivalent to $1.39 Canadian dollars, what is the equivalent price per gallon? Okay. All right, so we're going to do exactly what we did here. We're going to convert that. Okay, so we're going to take our 1.28 Canadian. Let's just do it as CAD, Canadian dollars. And we're going to make that, divide that by 1.39. Okay. So we get 92 cents, and then we're going to, that's per liter. Okay. So let's multiply that by how many liters in a gallon, which is about 38. Okay, so 0.98 times 3.8. Okay, so about $3.72. Okay, and she knew the price in her hometown was $2.50 per gallon. So what is the equivalent price in Canadians? Oh, I answered this question up here. 92 cents per liter. Okay, all right. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll talk to you again real soon.